If you're a football fan, you know what makes a great GM. They don't just sign the best players, they maximize the salary cap. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't win 3 Super Bowls by overspending. They got there by maximizing the value per dollar of the cap. And what if I told you that your farm actually has a salary cap too? And most farmers are blowing it on the agricultural equivalent of Tua or Russell Wilson. After interviewing over 200 farmers, I've noticed something. The farmers earning the most money track one number that struggling farms don't track or don't even know exists. And today I'm going to break down exactly what that number is, how to calculate it, and how one New Zealand farmer used to double his revenue without adding a single bed. And here's what's wild. Your highest revenue crop might actually be your biggest loser. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm Diego, D-I-E-G-O. Welcome to Modern Grower, where we talk about profitable, small-scale market farming. And let's jump into it with the salary cap problem. Your farm has two constraints, land and time. That's your salary cap equivalent. Every crop you plant uses some of that finite resource for a set period of time. And the question isn't, what makes me the most money? The question is, what makes me the most money per day that crop occupies my bed?
We want to average $400 no matter what the crop is per harvest, but carrots for us can be anywhere from $400 up to $1,200 off a bed. And the $1,200 bed is obviously a beautiful bed. They're beautiful to pull. They're very consistent even. But when you divide your total income off our best bed, let's talk the best one, by 90 days, it ends up at $11 a day.
The math. If your bed can produce $600 in carrots over 90 days, that's $6.66 per day. If the same bed can produce $400 in salad mix in 30 days, that's $13.33 per day. The salad mix is twice as profitable per day, even though carrots bring in more total revenue. The move. This week, pick your top 5 revenue crops. For each one, divide the revenue per bed by days to maturity. Rank them. You might be shocked which ones rise and which crops sink. The mindset. Stop thinking like a farmer who's counting bushels. Start thinking like a landlord who's trying to maximize rent. Your beds are real estate, and you need to charge yourself accordingly for the usage of that real estate. DPD, dollars per day. That's revenue from a single bed divided by the total days the crop was in the bed. We're not counting nursery time or planting time, days from when that crop goes into the bed until it finally comes out and is no longer in production. Here's an example from Jodi's farm, carrots. On his best harvest, he could generate $1,200 from that bed unit in 90 days. That's $13.33 per day. Carrots with an average harvest were more close to $600 per bed unit over 90 days. That's just $6.66 per day. If he compares that to Mizuna salad, a good harvest would bring in $400 in 18 days. That's $22.22 per day.
And then we harvested a pretty good bed of Mizuna, divide it by 18 days to maturity, and it's turning over $22 a day. The salad is double per day, if we look at it that way.
Why does this number matter? The smaller your farm, the more it matters. Jodi farms on less than an acre with 123 50-foot beds. At that scale, you can't afford to have crops sitting around for 90 plus days when you could be flipping them multiple times. Conventional wisdom says more crops means more income, but here's what the data actually says. Jodi ran the numbers on his farm, going from 4 crops per year to 5 crops per year. Same bed, same prices increased his potential revenue from $160,000 to $200,000. That's a $40,000 difference from one extra rotation.
If I go 100 beds, and this is where things really change on a small scale, I totally agree that the smaller you are, the faster you need to flip beds. But if we have 100 beds and just increase it to 5 crops a year, and we could actually increase the income from 400 to whatever, 425. So 100 beds, 5 crops times $400. We just went from 160,000 to 200,000 on the same land area.
The math: 100 beds times 4 rotations times $400 of crop harvested is $160,000 per year. 100 beds with 5 rotations, same $400 harvested from each bed, that's $200,000. Same land, same effort per bed, more revenue. The move: look at your slowest growing crop. Can you shave off 10 days through variety selection, season extension, or transplanting instead of direct seeding? That might unlock an entire additional rotation across your farm, bringing in more revenue. The mindset: your land isn't measured in acres. It's measured in bed days. How many bed days do you have, and what's your revenue per bed day? Okay, now let's rank some common market garden crops by the DPD, dollars per day metric. This will challenge some assumptions. On the screen, you'll see some data from Jodi's farm. And what do you notice here? One crop, coriander or cilantro to us Americans, is twice as profitable in the summer as in the winter because days to maturity gets cut in half. This is why dollars per day by season can transform your crop planning when you start to track this number.
Whereas coriander's 90 days in winter and 45 days in summer. Again, on a small scale, coriander's twice as profitable for us in summer because we'd get paid double per day and then it's out and there's something else in.
If you want to get your DPD up, there's no magic blue pill here. There's only 2 levers: increase revenue per bed or decrease days to maturity. Let's break down both. Increase revenue: higher yields through soil health, fertility, variety selection, skill, crop protection, all those things. Better pricing through direct marketing, value adds or special varieties, just getting more out of each bed that you grow. You can decrease the days to maturity by variety selection, faster maturing cultivars, season extension, crop protection that helps the crop grow like less stressed, faster, transplanting compared to direct seeding, transplanting often much faster, but the plant gets a head start compared to direct seeding. So if you want to increase your DPD, those are the 2 levers you have to work with. After interviewing farmers for 10 years, I've probably talked to over 200 different growers. I've noticed this pattern from the podcast. Most farmers who have high revenue track their days to maturity obsessively, not just once, but seasonally. They know their spring carrots are 75 days and their fall carrots are 95 days, and they adjust their planting volumes accordingly. This pattern shows up virtually with almost every farm that's successful.
You nailed it. Season extension, and really putting out a transplant is a form of season extension. We just paper potted our storage field onions yesterday, and they're a month in the tray. And during that month, we grew another crop. If we grew a 30-day crop in that bed, and then we flip the bed, same day, boom, and go the onions that are already a month old. So we just gained a month.
This is where it gets tactical. Jodi uses paper pot transplanting not just for labor efficiency, but as a dollars per day multiplier. how it works. When onions spend 30 days in paper pot chains in the propagation area, that bed in the field can grow a 30-day salad crop. Then onions go in. You just ran two crops on overlapping timelines because they took up different space on the farm. The math. With onions, traditional direct seeding, they can take 120 days field to harvest. That could get you multiple rotations a year, maybe 3, depending on your climate. With a paper pot method, that's 30 days in the tray, 90 days in the field. During those 30 tray days, you can grow another $400 quick crop. The net effect is you gain a half a rotation. You get 3.5 rotations of revenue from the same bed space by stacking these crops in time and using nursery and field to complement each other through transplanting versus direct seeding. The move. For any crop over 60 days to maturity, calculate, can I start this in trays and grow something quick in the bed while the starts get up to size? If the answer is yes, then you might have just found yourself some free money. The mindset. Propagation space is field space in disguise. A seedling grown in your greenhouse is earning bed days for free. It's like getting extra land without having to buy it. Now, the dollars per day metric is great, but it isn't everything. There are legitimate reasons to grow lower dollars per day crops, but you need to know you're doing it intentionally. Here are some legit exceptions to ignore this metric. 1. Market necessity. Just because a crop has a high dollars per day doesn't mean you can just grow an unlimited amount of it. Your market can only take so much. So you can only grow what you can sell. If you grow it and can't sell it, that dollars per day metric means nothing because you didn't actually bring in any revenue from that crop. So there are realistic constraints to your market. 2. Basket builders. Carrots might have a lower dollar per day, but they sell every single bag or they bring customers into your market booth, so they might be growing in a smaller amount as a basket builder. 3. Customer relationships. If you have a great customer that buys a lot from you and they want a very specific product, say baby carrots, it might be worth growing just for them because they buy a whole bunch of other stuff that's really profitable for you. 4. Storage crops. They traditionally have a low dollars per day, but they extend your season without protected growing, enabling you to put stuff in the cooler and sell it later, so it might be worth growing.
The carrots, though, we can't just grow salad on the whole farm. We don't have the market stream for that. So carrots are really good for us, although we know that they take 90 days year round for us, and we have a very average climate. It's always overcast. It's always the same temperature. It's always the same humidity. They're a number one root crop and very important for our customers. They love them. They're just super popular.
Conventional wisdom says grow what brings in the most total revenue. But here's what the data actually says. Looking at Jodi's numbers, carrots are his number 2 gross revenue crop. But by dollars per day, they're in the middle of the pack. He grows most of them strategically, not because they're the most profitable, but because they fill a market need and store well. That's a business decision, not a farming decision. It's one thing to know about these metrics, but it's another thing to track them and use them. So I'd recommend looking at these things at least quarterly. And here's how to implement this on your farm. It's a simple quarterly practice that could take a few hours, but changes everything. The process. List every crop you grew the last quarter. For each crop, calculate the average revenue per bed divided by the average days to maturity. That's your dollars per day. Rank them from the highest to the lowest Then ask, what do my three bottom crops have in common? Can I improve them or cut them? Is there a legit reason to still grow them? On the other end of the spectrum, ask, what do my top three crops have in common? And can I grow more of them?
I'd say generally we're dropping our crops that are marginal for us, or we're trying to work on them to lift them in every way to make them more efficient and more profitable.
The math. If you cut your three lowest dollars per day crops and replace them with your three highest, at Jodi's numbers, that could be a $10 to $15 per day increase across multiple beds, which means you might increase $300 to $450 per day in peak season. The move. Block 2 hours this week, pull your sales records, do this exercise. I guarantee you'll find at least one crop that needs to go. The mindset. Your farm isn't a museum of crops that you love. We all do that. It's a business that supports your family. Cut what doesn't perform. I know it's hard, but double down on what does, because at the end of the day, you're not running a farm, you're running a farm business. Today, we covered a metric that separates six-figure farms from struggling operations, dollars per day in the field. We talked about the formula, how to rank your crops, the two levers to improve it, and when it makes sense to break the rule. Comment below with your highest dollars per day crop. I want to see what's working for you on your farm. And if you want more videos focused on farm finance, check out the archives right here on Modern Grower. Remember, your land is your most expensive asset. Every day a crop sits in a bed, it's paying rent, and it should be. Now go build a farm business, not just a farm, and I'll see you in the next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.